Gal Gadot, I think Wonder Woman, this upcoming Wonder Woman, I'm not hearing a lot of really good things about
Shut your
pre-screening
mouth,
and stuff.
Sean.
I'm
Shut
just
your mouth.
saying,
Shut
just
your mouth.
saying, saying.
So let me read this from Cheat Sheet, who says Justice League was released in 2017, and since then fans have been wondering if the Zack Snyder version of the film would ever come to light. The director has hinted that he's working on it, and now many are wondering if they'll get to see the Snyder cut of Justice League on Warner Brothers' upcoming streaming service, HBO Max. So, Scott, what do you think about that, man?
It's really weird you brought this up because I didn't hear about the Snyder cut until you told me we were going to do this and
Okay,
to research it.
Right, I got you.
The Justice League movie came on, I don't know, Sci-Fi Network or something about a week ago, and after touting that I never watch movies at home, it was on in the background.
We watched it too. We watched it the same time.
It could be Gal Gadot that kept me around because oh my gosh,
that's as good a reason as any.
If anybody wants to make you lick a screen, it's Gal Gadot. So, anyways, when we were, she's beautiful. I mean, good Lord.
Absolutely.
Anyway, and such a perfect for a character. Anyways, I found myself when I watched it at the theater, I walked out, I had very low expectations, and I said it wasn't too bad. And then when I was watching it on TV with the commercials and everything else, I actually found myself saying, I'm missing old Batman Ben Affleck, you know? And I found myself enjoying.
Wait a minute.
I really didn't like Batman Superman. I don't think I'd rewatch that, but I really didn't mind Justice League, even though I didn't really care for the resurrection of Superman and all that. Maybe it was just stuck in the house with the corona everywhere that I sat back and just enjoy. Instead of nitpicking, I enjoyed it. And I found myself really enjoying watching that movie again. And when you talked about this, I thought, hell, why not? I'll watch it even again. So, sure, I'm game.
Let me throw this out. We'll come back to this question in just a second. Who is the best live action Batman? Okay, go.
Live action Batman?
Live action Batman. Who's number one?
Oh man, you have to give it to Christian Bale, right? I mean, just for the trilogy alone.
I disagree.
I mean, if you're talking old Batman, I really, really liked Ben Affleck.
To me, Ben Affleck was absolute. See, to me, anybody can be in the cowl. Anybody can be in the cowl because you're not looking at.
That's true.
You're looking at a shape beating the heck out of bad guys. You don't need an actor as Batman. You need an actor as
Bruce Wayne. Well, then maybe it is Affleck.
Affleck, to me, Affleck was by far the best Bruce Wayne / Batman of any of the interpretations. Now, you can argue, who had the best story, who had the best director, so on and so forth. I'm still a little hinky on Zack Snyder's vision of the DC universe per se. I mean, there's some things that I think he went a little too far here and there, but overall, I liked his Superman. I extremely liked his Batman, and it saddened me that Ben Affleck had so many personal issues that in his mind kept him from continuing on, because I would have loved to have seen more.
My hope, Sean, is in about 10 years when he ages a little bit more that we get like a Dark Knight Returns.
Like a Dark Knight, yeah.
Yeah, like a 55-year-old Ben Affleck, you know?
Dude, honestly, I would be there for that. I think he would be, again, I think he would be fantastic.
Are we all in agreement on this?
Oh, yeah.
Ben Affleck by far is my favorite. By far is my favorite. Not just the actor, not just as Bruce Wayne, also as Batman, and also the interpretation of Batman. It's the first time that I've ever seen Batman kick the ass of everyone the way that he does it in the comics. People are shooting him in the head, and he's looking at him like, now you're really going to get it. He's picking people up and throwing them around. He's using his batarang as a weapon instead of like, a fun little ornament or something. It was the only Batman where Batman was really the way he is in the comics. He's scary. He's tough. And I totally buy Affleck as Bruce Wayne. And also, I mean, Ben Affleck is a tall guy. You can put him up against, Henry Cavill as Superman or something, and he stands toe to toe with him just like he does in the comics. I think by far that Affleck is the best Batman.
My favorite line in that movie is where somebody says, like, so what's your superpower? And he's like, I'm rich.
I'm rich, yeah.
It's just like, well, yep.
Now,
I think it's...
If DC would have taken the approach and made Affleck their Iron Man and run with it in that fashion, obviously we would have, I believe, we would have had quite a bit more. And
I really think that was the original idea, was to kind of, because he did show up in Suicide Squad,
right?
And he also showed up in Wonder Woman. So I think that they were trying to run that thread through those initial movies. And Zack Snyder's not going to get the credit for it, but he's also the guy who created everything about Aquaman that worked for that movie that finally broke $1 billion. He cast Jason Momoa. He managed to make an Aquaman that no one laughs at, that everyone thinks is cool. The situations, everything that was set up, you notice that he was one of the executive producers on the Aquaman movie. Everything that Snyder, and look, I get all of the criticisms of, the way that he portrayed Superman and Batman, and those are all completely valid. But for the most part, if anything, Zack Snyder made the mistake of deconstructing those characters when no one wanted to see deconstructed characters. They wanted to see them in their full glory. But what he was trying to do is to pull back on those characters and then work towards them being in their full glory by the time that you get to the first or second Justice League film. Unfortunately, they got truncated because of all of the bitching by the fans. I'm talking to you, you know who you are out there, who bitched about everything, and the somewhat lackluster box office that they got with those films. But if they could have just hung in there with Zack Snyder's vision, I think that by the time that they got to the second Justice League film, I think they would have had an amazing arc of films that told a complete comprehensive story. And I think that we would have arrived at the characters that everyone wanted there at the beginning, but they weren't there because of storytelling. They really wanted to start those characters at a certain point and evolve them toward, the characters that we knew by the end of that process.
If they do release a Snyder cut of the movie, I think it'll do well. I think people will tune into it, if for no other reason, just for the novelty of it. But
sure.
I think if you sit back, because it'll have to, they won't release it in theaters. It'll be on their streaming service, and it'll be on Blu-ray.
No.
And they would have to track, obviously, viewership on the stream, or new customers purchasing the stream around the time of its release, as well as the Blu-ray sales, to really get a grasp of what the people want to see, as opposed to what the boardroom wants to see.
I think rewatching that movie kind of made me sad that was our attempt to get the storyline of Apocalypse and the New Gods. And the big bad villain of Darkseid, which everybody would have compared to Thanos. But I want to remind everybody, up until Jim Starlin brought Thanos back to life in, I believe, the either late 80s or early 90s, I mean, Thanos was running around the Marvel Universe, not looking for Infinity Gems necessarily. He had the Thanos copter and other really lame things.
Right.
So
You're right.
he didn't become cool until Jim Starling started writing Silver Surfer, brought him back, and then started the Infinity Gauntlet stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
Yeah.
So Darkseid, if you ever look him up, he's kind of what Thanos turned into. I mean, like, am I wrong in saying that?
No.
But I'll even take that a step further. The cinematic Thanos is very different than the comic book version of Thanos.
For sure.
I mean, the cinematic Thanos, you kind of understand. I mean, you're like, all right, let's do this. Let's see how this works. Whereas with the Darkseid, you're constantly thinking, oh, he got to die. He can't be around. There's nothing redeemable about that guy.
Right.
And so it saddens me too. I would love to have seen them fully flesh out Darkseid and bring that to the cinema, because I do think that would have cemented the DC universe
for sure.
Fortunately, they have a TV series, or a line of TV series, that does a phenomenal job.
That are doing that, yeah.
And
for sure.
The only thing I can think of is because, they're telling smaller stories like comics. They're telling smaller stories which blend to an overarching story that is wonderful. Whereas with their movies, I know, let's take 10 years and let's put it into 2.5 hours.
Right.
No, that doesn't work.
What do you guys think is the state of the DC cinematic universe now? Do you think that it's in trouble, or do you think that they've, with the success of Aquaman and Wonder Woman's going to be coming out here pretty soon, probably do pretty well? Do you think they're on the right track, or do you think that? What do you guys think?
I am hopeful, but I've got a bad feeling. I don't know why. I'm not right all that often, so don't quote me on anything. But it seems to me, and I've mentioned this before. I get this feeling that Aquaman is one and done, and that would break my heart, because I think Jason Momoa is fantastic. I think he's a fantastic actor, person. I think he's been given the short end of the stick on many a franchise, and I would love to see him actually get something that he can, propel his career even further and be that big action star. Gal Gadot, I think Wonder Woman, this upcoming Wonder Woman, I'm not hearing a lot of really good things about pre-screen.
Shut your mouth, Sean.
Shut your mouth. Just saying. So I'm afraid that that's going to be a reset. I've just got a bad feeling that it's going to, once they fill up whatever they've got in the works now, I think they're going to do a flashpoint, and they're going to reset everything, and we're not even going to associate the Ben Affleck Batman, because now we've got Robert Pattinson. We're not going to associate Aquaman. They're going to get Michael Phelps, and we're not going to.
Good God, I hope that's not the case.
we're not.
That is a nightmare.
Subway sandwiches a day. I'm Aquaman.
We're not. Henry Cavill, who says that he's up for more Superman movies. I think they're going to recast him. I think they're going to completely wipe the slate clean of the Snyder universe, and they're gonna start something new and fresh. And I understand it. I'm not against it per se, but I do like these characters. I do like these actors, and I would love to see their representations continue on. I just don't feel it.
My answer to this is the same answer I've had probably 20 years ago or something. There's no excuse for not having good Batman or Superman products.
Man, you're right on that.
Every
Yeah.
3 years. Every 3 years at
Yeah,
the
yeah.
very least.
Yeah.
You sign a guy, you have a guy for Superman for 3 movies, and then maybe you get rid of him like you do the James Bond actor. But
Right.
we've said this back when we were in college. There is
Absolutely.
no excuse because these are such iconic world characters. Now, back then we said it even more than like we said your big 3 was like Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man, or you know.
Right.
But there's no excuse. This is just it has to be some head honcho in a boardroom kiboshing this stuff. I mean, it's kind of sad, really. I mean, the best like thing that went, and I'm sure there's others because I don't have the DC network or anything like that. But I mean, we touted the Batman adventures in the '90s because we got good Batman for like what 6 years or something like that. It felt longer. It might have been shorter. I don't remember.
Right.
But it's what we were all craving for.
Right.
It was consistent. It was good. Even maybe when it was not so great, it was still good. And that's what we were dying for that. And then they took those same great creators, Paul Dini, and who's the other guy I'm thinking of? Anyways, Paul Dini was the big one. And they gave him Superman. And we had years of great Superman cartoons.
Yeah.
And we were like, why can't they do this for movies? Why? Why?
Right.
You know, the same situation is happening right now with. Have you watched the DC animated movies?
Some of the latest ones?
Like direct to video or whatever they call it now.
I have, but not in the last few years, to be honest.
Some of those are really good. I mean, they
Some of those are
really
amazing.
They get those characters. They really like the Justice League Dark is a good example. I think it's the animation's terrible. I hate the animation in those damn things. But the storylines and the way that they portray those characters are really, really excellent. And you wonder why you obviously have writers that are putting these things together. Why don't they grab those guys who understand those characters better than anyone and let them do this stuff in the films so that in the live action films so that you have that experience and the knowledge of the characters. And the same thing, and by the way, the same thing is happening with the Star Wars crowd, where you have what's his name, Dave Filoni, who did Clone Wars and has done several of the animated things, and they're finally kind of graduating him into the live action stuff with The Mandalorian. And why do they not hand over the Star Wars universe to that guy? Because he totally understands what it takes to make a good Star Wars product. He understands the characters. He understands the genre. He understands how to make stuff cool, Yeah. Why do they not, just because they're not doing the live action stuff doesn't mean that you can't, elevate them to the point of doing the live action product. I think.
I totally agree.
Hello, Taskforce Geek fans. Thank you for watching our video. If you enjoy our content, please leave a like, leave a comment, or you could subscribe and hit that bell so that you'll get notified every time that we put out a new video. Your individual help helps a lot. Thank you.